Welcome back, guys, to another Outrider video. I've had a lot of questions on how to scale through expeditions. I know it can be challenging. I've been there myself. You hit the walls, you plateau, you're like, oh, I can't beat this, and then you manage to find another way or work and just kind of adapt around it, and that's what I recommend you guys to do. But if you guys have gotten too fed up and you're not enjoying that kind of challenge and that difficulty, and you want some help, this video is for you. So if you're new here, I recommend you guys subscribing. We put a lot of content out there, recommendations, guides, builds, and everything you need for Outriders. So let's start with the first thing. Obviously, your build is important. One little tip to give you guys right out the bat is find a build that you like. If you haven't found one yourself, you don't know how to synergize and build one, look one up on YouTube. Check the channel here. I've got a couple of them for Technomancer, and I'll have some more in the future. By the time maybe this video's out, there might already be some. I'll leave them linked in the description as they come out. But these builds are important. So as you upgrade and you go through your tiers and you level up 34, 35, 36, you want to make sure that as you get new gear that have the firepower, their anomaly, or whatever you're building around, that you'll also be able to adapt and modify your gear, because you want to keep those same mod pieces on. Don't just slap whatever's the highest stuff on there, because it's very cheap to alter your gear to put the right mods on. It's just a little bit of leather, and there's tons of that out there at your disposal. Guns, however, are a little bit more complicated, but you can work with that. And I recommend you, with your build, to work on survival and not so much pace. Pace does eventually start becoming part of a factor, but early on it does not matter. You just want to complete it just to complete it. If you do it even bronze, silver, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Don't go for gold. Just go for completing it and an upgrade. You'll notice there's a little icon on the bottom as you're scaling up through your expeditions of the threshold you need to get an upgrade to the next rank of expeditions. So just try to fight for whatever the lowest level of that is. Sometimes it's silver. Eventually on 14 it ends up being gold only. So moving over to the real big trick here, and this is Chem Lab. This is the expedition you need to be farming. This is the one that gives you the most generous gap for margin of error. This one, honestly, I can complete in under 7 minutes, and that's at tier 15, and it eventually keeps me to where I need to beat it within, 14.5 minutes. So I do it in less than half the time required, which means there's a lot of wiggle room for you guys to experiment with. And the more you play an expedition, because it really doesn't change, the more you can master it, get used to the spawns, and really perfect it. So what you can do, and what I recommend you guys to do if you are stuck, is to do Chem Lab exclusively. This is the expedition you want to do. And I know a lot of you guys may be, how do I do this? So what you can do, if you don't have it up in your rotation, because only 3 are up at any given time, you can load into another expedition, and I'll show you on your screen. And then you can, of course, abandon that one from the menu, go back to the table, and see if Chem Lab is available for you. Again, sometimes it takes a couple of resets until you get it, but realistically, you can farm Chem Lab exclusively over and over and over again until you perfect it. And this is the biggest piece of advice I can give for you. As I know, once you get higher up in the levels, 12, 13, 14, those are really hard, but that is the one that you want to get used to so that you can unlock Eye of the Storm in tier 15. Now, the expedition ranks are obviously a little weird. You obviously want to go for whatever you're accepting. So the higher and the faster you scale, whether or not you got to do bronze or silver or gold, whatever you do, the higher you push up and the faster you do, the easier it is, because it gives you a little bit of cushion, so you can always downgrade your ranks a couple to get good gear. And then obviously through farming those lower ranks, it'll give you the resources necessary to upgrade your gear to handle whatever current level or tier you may be on. And of course, something to mention right here is to not be afraid to do that at in-game. I know a lot of people want to go in there and just farm and push their expeditions so they can get to Eye of the Storm and get legendary farming, and I understand that push and that craving, but do not go overboard. Do not aim for gold until you are like tier 15 in expeditions. Until you have Eye of the Storm unlocked, you should not be focusing on farming legendaries. You should be focusing on getting to tier 15, because once you're at tier 15, realistically, you've already hit some sort of another wall, and you're going to need to downgrade down to 12 or 13, which is still a very effective rate to earn legendaries. It's nothing to look down on, and I believe even epics are very common, so you're going to be able to generate a lot of extra mods, legendaries, and so forth that you need to upgrade it. And eventually, over the course of a handful of runs, you'll be able to gold tier all the 13s you're doing. And then when you can upgrade again, you'll be able to gold tier all the 14s that you're doing, and it'll continually scale as you get more and more pieces for your set build. And that is what I recommend you guys to do. It's really difficult when you hit walls, but like I said, step 1 is find a build. Step 2 is get really acquainted with Chem Lab. to reset if you need to be and abandon matches and come back in and just stick to that one. As I said, it gives you the biggest room for error and is the one that you can take the slowest and still get gold very easily on. And just don't worry about loot, don't worry about legendaries until you're already up at 15. Don't get distracted by trying to create the fastest run. Survival is more important. So if that means you got to put on more tanky items, damage absorber, or defensive mods, it doesn't matter, because as long as you're getting those rank ups and bronze and eventually silver, then you are doing what you need to. You don't really have to worry about pacing until you get up into the double digits, and that's when you may need to sacrifice some survivability for damage. So that is my advice, guys. That is how I tackle expeditions. That's how I did it. It's how I plan to do it on future classes, and that's how I recommend my friends to try it. So that is what I have for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Get out there, try it yourself, find a way to master it, and get ready to get sick of Chem Lab. I said Chem Lab the whole video, didn't I? I meant Chem Plant. Nobody saw that. You'd think after like 200 runs I'd know its name by now, but sorry.